In any multiplayer game, player interaction is an inevitability. In any setting, both online and in person, when you bring people together, they're going to want to socialize and interact with each other. Ever since you could press a button on your keyboard and transmit your voice to someone living across the globe,
out my way, son! Door stuck!
Socialization has been a part of online gaming. Each game is different, however. Developers take different approaches to socialization in regards to both gameplay and player expression. When it comes to the format of the game itself, the game could entirely be about socializing with others. Some of the most popular games from the 2000s took this approach, and could be considered as glorified chat rooms. Think of games like Club Penguin or Habbo Hotel. These games still had gameplay aspects to them, such as with minigames or decorating your space, but the primary enjoyment came from interacting with others and making friends. Today, there are still equivalents such as with VR chat or web fishing, games which also have a heavy focus on enjoyment through socialization rather than gameplay. Or, instead of socialization, the format of the game can be focused around teamwork. I could list over a dozen games where the focus is to cooperate and communicate with your team in order to win. This can come in the form of one team versus another team, PvP, or a team versus a team of computer-controlled players, PvE. While with both formats you are still interacting with each other, the focus is more so on winning the game or completing the objective rather than talking to your teammates and socializing. And when it comes to the way you interact with other players through chat or other means of expression, games can choose to place restrictions on it. Developers can decide which words or phrases aren't allowed, which usernames are appropriate and which ones aren't, and what behavior is considered toxic, all of which can result in a ban if it does not follow what the developer sets. And then, there's Team Fortress 2. TF2 is very unique with how it allows players to interact with each other in regards to the format of its genre. You would be hard-pressed to find any other game like it that has the same amount of interactivity and socialization among players, despite the game not being about socializing. It's a team-based game, yet you're able to have many interactions with the other team. It's a AAA game, yet you're able to express yourself more freely. The objective is to win, and yet the entire server can turn into a hangout space. In many multiplayer games, the other team is just seen as the opposition to your objective and nothing else. But yet, TF2 purposely builds player connections to the opposite team.
Mother of mercy! Now that is a bloody domination!
The domination system in TF2 is quite possibly one of the most simple yet effective ways to connect with the opposite team. The way it works is pretty straightforward. You get 4 kills or assist on someone, and now you're their nemesis.
How's that domination feel, city boy?
You'll have an icon above your head that only players who you are dominating will see, as well as a badge on the scoreboard displaying how many dominations you have. If the person who you have a domination on kills you, they get their revenge.
What did we learn? I always win!
This not only helps you remember interactions with other players more, creating a more personal feel to each player you dominate or get dominated by, but this also serves the gameplay incentive as well. Players with dominations are likely players who are good at the game and are the best on their team. Players are selfish, and want to do what helps them first before what helps their team. When killing a nemesis, someone may think, yes, I finally got my revenge on that guy. They receive the personal satisfaction of getting their revenge, but they also unintentionally targeted a player on the opposite team who was most likely doing well, thus helping their team in the process. But you don't have to take this from me. The developer commentary also talks about the nemesis system.
In multiplayer games, the content players consume is largely generated by other players. To enhance this, we added features designed to promote relationships between players. For example, the freeze cam shot of a player's killer helps the player remember specific troublesome opponents. The Nemesis feature adds an additional reminder that certain enemies are more significant than others. It creates a small negative reinforcement loop by giving players an opportunity to score extra points with a revenge kill.
Having a gameplay mechanic tied to social aspects creates stronger connections between players, even if it is purely out of spite from one another. The domination system creating banter and joking around makes it easier for people to socialize. I think it is one of the greatest mechanics in any game. In no other game can you become someone's nemesis and then have your character insult them. But what if you really had it out for someone? Maybe they said something in chat you didn't like, maybe they taunted you the last round, or maybe you just want to pick a fight with someone. Well, duel it out. Dueling is the most honorable way to settle any debate in TF2, and you are a coward if you decline. The dueling system is the domination system taken to the next level. A point is given each time someone kills or gets an assist on their opponent. Both players will see a dueling icon above their opponent, and instead of just a simple badge on the scoreboard, the status of the duel is displayed to the entire server. Not only is the duel announced to the whole server, but when the round ends the results will be displayed to everyone, and your dueling badge will be updated to include the outcome of your latest duel, forever giving you glory or shame until your next one. I don't think I've ever seen another multiplayer game that gives you this much freedom with interacting with individuals on the other team. Some of my most fond memories with this system are dueling my friends on the other team, taunting each other after every point, and then doing it all over again the next round. Hell, I even added someone over a duel. One time me and some other demo man were sticky jumping around to the other side of the map with a cambered base jumper so we could kill each other. We then dueled for 4 more rounds until the map changed, and then we added each other on Steam. It's a real shame that we never got any more of these social minigames. It was even stated by Robin Walker, the person who basically made Team Fortress, that the dueling minigame was meant to be one of the first minigames, with it being implied that they were going to make more later on. I often wonder what these could have been. Maybe some of these minigames could have been votes to start events on maps? We'll probably never get to know, but I would love if someone could ask or find out what other ideas they were thinking of. Both the domination and dueling systems are gameplay aspects of TF2 that not only make you work better as a team without you noticing, but they also go a long way when it comes to making player connections. Seeing someone taunt or say something in the chat when they get their revenge, your opponent calling a point you got BS, or someone's lame reason for not accepting your duel, it all adds up to make each server feel more social. Team shooters typically don't include any form of player interaction through their gameplay mechanics, yet TF2 does. Even more simple aspects like having a kill cam instead of a freeze cam can remove a lot of the funny moments you could encounter with other players. It makes the players on the other team just feel like people who are going against your objective, rather than individuals who you can interact with. Individuality is also a huge aspect of TF2 sociability. TF2 has a large variety of ways for players to express themselves, more than any other game I would say. The ability to have any name and profile picture is by far what creates the most social interactions in the game. It could be someone aliasing as someone, a group of people forming together under similar names, or even just funny usernames in general. The same also applies to weapon names and descriptions. Usernames in other games are usually not able to be changed as frequently, with there often being a cooldown or even payment required if you want to change it. TF2 doesn't have this restriction, however, and instead you're able to change usernames how many times you want. This is more so a freedom with Steam as a platform. If any other games use your Steam username and profile picture, this can also apply to them, though most multiplayer games on Steam will use their own account system. Custom profile pictures are also a no-go on pretty much every multiplayer game. Most of the time, you'll only be able to pick or unlock icons, which obviously doesn't give close to the amount of expression as being able to upload any image. TF2 has a lot of ways of player expression through images actually. Using the decal tool, you're able to upload practically any image to items that allow for it. These items include the flare, photo badge, clan pride, and most notably, the conscientious objector. Being able to apply any image just further adds to the funny or memorable people you can encounter. I give Valve a lot of credit for allowing this. Giving players this much customization is not common for multiplayer games, and yet TF2 embraces it. Sprays also fall under the category of visual player expression, though they can only be seen on community servers. Again, it just adds more opportunities for memorable player interactions. Some of my most fond memories of sprays are people spraying fake sniper distractions, there being a wall of sprays while waiting during setup time, or just porn, but we don't talk about that. Speaking of waiting during setup time, taunts are a good way to kill time. Taunts can bring the whole server together and further enhance player connections. Being able to start group or partner taunts, where everyone can join, can really bring life into the game. Everyone in the server joining in on a taunt is most common on game modes or maps that have an objective that players don't really care about, such as with Capture the Flag or High Tower. Everyone stopping to have a dance party is not something I could see happening in any other PvP game, especially since winning the game is more of an incentive in modern titles. Additionally, there are taunts made to upset the other player. Many of TF2's taunts are meant to mock the other player, similar to how the domination lines mock the player. The banter that comes associated with these taunts adds to the nemesis and freeze cam systems, which furthers the connections with players on the enemy team. This is also something that is unique to TF2 nowadays. I can't see modern titles having actions that are made to make the player you killed upset, and if they do, well, don't worry. You can just disable them to further isolate yourself from any interesting interactions. Everything I've mentioned here makes TF2 the best social game that isn't about being social. In a way, I consider TF2 a party game, especially when server settings like All Talk are on so both teams can socialize in the voice chat. The actual game of TF2 is also really good. This isn't the video for me to gush about TF2's gameplay, but it's just a very engaging game that anyone can pick up. And when you add in TF2 sociability, it makes it the perfect game to hang out in. If no one is talking, then you can enjoy the game and wait for it to make those connections for you. If people are talking, then it becomes a space where you can make some friends. Its ability to allow players to freely express themselves opens up the door for people to connect with each other more easily. Its mechanics also indirectly make the game more social. This all comes at the cost of no moderation, however. On the official servers, there are no rules in regards to what you can say and cannot say, what you can put on your profile, and what images you can apply to items, as long as it's not illegal. The benefit to this is that there is no ever-living presence you feel whenever you say anything. There isn't a fear of being banned, which while allows people to be more willing to express themselves, it does create contention between people. This dilemma does sort itself out in a way, however. Players are allowed to form their own ideal social environments. What I mean by this is that you're able to control your own experience. You can mute players who you don't want to hear, you can disable social features, and you can disable player expression features. If the server doesn't like certain people, then they can kick them as well. If you don't like the direction of the server, then you can simply go leave and search for a different one. This also applies to community servers, with each server having different social values. Some have moderation to remove who they deem as bad actors, while others have no moderation in order to maintain free expression. You're able to find your ideal experience by finding a server with like-minded people, which makes the social aspect more enjoyable, thus making it easier to make connections. Now, you may be thinking, oh, so you just want people to be toxic and mean to each other. Well, isn't that kind of what social spaces are like with friends? Are you seriously going to tell me you haven't gotten mad at friends while playing a game? It's just banter. Everyone knows it's in good fun, and it creates a more lively social setting. When I play TF2 and hear someone complaining about something or someone, people start laughing along.
You're such a fucking... Oh my god, you're a spy!
Sure, there are genuine moments of toxicity and rage that aren't funny, but is it worth to remove and moderate those moments while removing the playful banter as well? Different social spaces have different views on what can be said, what is funny, and what is harmful. Why should the developer get to decide this rather than what people agree on? I commend Valve for allowing the players to make their own social rules instead of them. I know not everyone is going to agree with this approach, but I think it is a good thing to not have to deal with a moderation system. This adds to my view of TF2 being a party game. The space you are in is determined by the people who you are surrounded by. It's up to you to find a group that you want to be around. Maybe it's a bit cheesy, but this is just general social advice. TF2 has brought me to some of my most closest online friends. Thousands of my hours were spent on servers just hanging out and talking to people. I could always hop on and find myself in a conversation no matter what, while having fun playing the game. No other game has been able to do that for me, and I think that's why I, and many others, still stick around. There are certainly games that can keep you more engaged than TF2. I mean, no one out here is actually expecting updates anytime soon. The draw of most active online multiplayer games is that more content is coming. TF2 is simply the last bastion of old-school multiplayer games, where the focus is more so on having fun and talking to each other than winning. I hope more people make social multiplayer games that aren't just chat rooms, spaces that are engaging to be in while also forming connections. Games like TF2 don't exist anymore, and with more people moving to Discord instead of making connections through games, there's less of an incentive to make games like TF2. But for now, TF2 is still here, and the game should be celebrated for its sociability. To this day, it remains to be the most fun you can have online.